Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't take a little time to celebrate the true birthday that has happened out there, the birthday number 249 of my beloved United States Marine Corps. And I figured a good way to celebrate that would be bringing in Wade Miller, Marine Corps combat veteran, also executive director at the Center for Renewing America. Wade, why in the heck did you go join the Marines? There were all kinds of other more feminine branches.
Well, I was hungry for crayons, so I heard they had plentiful amounts there.
No, seriously, why did you join? Everyone has their own story. What did you do? What were you doing?
I was in college at the time when 9/11 happened. In fact, I had slept in because I had gone out the night before for beers, and I was getting up and I saw the World Trade Centers being hit. And so I dropped out of college, joined the Marine Corps. 20 years later, I question whether or not our soldiers were used for a good purpose there, but nevertheless, we killed a lot of bad guys and took a lot of bad guys out. But that's why I joined.
Wade, let's shift into what's happening currently with the military. You and I have talked about this before. What they're doing, what they've done, what military leadership has done to our military is beyond belief. The retention crisis is a disaster. People don't talk about it. Everyone talks about recruiting, but retention, the pipe hitters are leaving. Is this something in 4 years that Trump can or even will reverse? There wasn't a ton of change last time. He looks much more committed this time. What do we expect? What do we need?
I think it'll be a different scenario this time. If you'll remember, the executive order to combat CRT came out right at the end of the administration after Chris Rufo and others had been exposing it. I think that where we're at now, as opposed to 2019, I think a lot of people's eyes are open up to what woke and weaponized bureaucracy is, and it's a really bad problem in DOD. We've got a bunch of left-wing Nancy generals that are, wanting to elevate diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism, which is just racism if you boil it down. And they're doing it for political jockeying, and they're throwing their troops under the bus because they want to get their next promotion and to look good in front of left-wing senators, and that includes some of the Senate on the Republican side as well. And we've got a dangerous, toxic culture. And I think that President Trump understands that there needs to be a cultural change in the military. I think he's probably right now weighing through all of his various options of who's going to take on DOD. I think he fully understands that we need to embrace more of a realism approach. And I think it's going to be a combination of realism and restraint, ending forever wars, saving our treasure for American families instead of spending it abroad, and then going at this neo-Marxist rot that's in all of the bureaucracies, including within our admirals and generals. And frankly, I will stand up and applaud very loudly when the first general admiral gets fired for embracing all this nonsense.
Wade, can you explain to people who don't understand, how did we get so many of these generals and admirals? Because especially if you're a civilian, you look at these guys and the uniform looks good. And of course, all of them have 8,000 medals and ribbons now. And you look and you think, wow, gosh, what a warrior. I can't imagine what a resume those ribbons and medals must reflect. How did we get so many of these guys who are just poisonous filth that lead our military? It's crazy to people who don't get how this happened.
Well, sure. So, first of all, if an officer sneezes in the right direction, they get some sort of medal these days. But to the broader point that you're making, at a certain point, especially in the officer ranks, you get your continuing education, you go get a master's degree, they go to places like Harvard and Yale where it's just left-wing nonsense. And then I think that, to get past a certain rank, they have to be approved by Congress. And in fact, last year or maybe 2 years ago, Senator Tommy Tuberville kind of famously was holding a lot of these promotions because they were embracing all sorts of nonsense, including woke ideology and abortion policies. And so these senators play the game. They see what DC culture is, and they just basically throw this country under the bus and say, if I want to get my next promotion, I'm going to embrace this Marxist nonsense. And they like I said, they throw us all under the bus because they want to get that next star or their next, become a colonel or whatever it is. And I think a lot of them just don't care about America as much as they should, and they're kind of protecting their own hide, and they're throwing our culture, our country, our troops under the bus in order to attain it. And frankly, it's sad, and that's why we need to start cleaning house. I would love to see the DOJ start prosecuting some of these generals who have, seemingly violated the law by promoting people on the basis of race and sex, which should be illegal. I think that the military actually might have an exemption on that, but nevertheless, the signal needs to be sent, and these people need to be fired that are responsible for it.
No question. We're already getting reports of informal meetings, of course, Wade, in the Pentagon, of people talking about how they can challenge Donald Trump, which is odd because last time I checked, he was the commander-in-chief. How much trouble is Trump going to have if he's committed to do so, and he appears to be? How much trouble is he going to have cleaning this thing out?
It's a monumental task. If anyone can do it, I think that Trump can. And I think that he will surround himself with the right people. But remember, the intel state, the national security state, and the defense industrial complex have a lot of reasons for this not to happen. And so to the degree that they have all of their different machinations and lobbyists in DC and Hill staffers that want us to be in every single conceivable war possible, they're going to find reasons to throw wrenches in all of these plans. And so, I would just encourage the president, I'm excited that he is going to be the president once again, to just plow through all of that nonsense and empower the people that he puts there to carry out his charge and to fundamentally reshape these institutions so they're not, frankly, an enemy of the United States any longer, and actually looking out for the best interests of the common cause of what government is supposed to be achieving for the American people.
Wade, there's already been a bunch of chatter, you never know what to believe, about the Israel-Hamas thing getting wrapped up, maybe, hopefully, the Ukraine-Russia thing getting wrapped up, maybe, hopefully. Now, how much of that stuff is realistic? Surely Trump's not going to walk in there and world peace is going to descend on us.
I think it will be light years ahead of where it's at now. If you remember in his last term, a lot of what the foreign policy deep state and the establishment said was impossible, he got a lot of it done. And it kind of shocked all of them, the state of affairs in which the world was in towards the end of his first term. And then, of course, it all kind of fell to, total crap, and in the ensuing 4 years after that under the Biden administration. I think that there's something to be said when you have a leader who is unpredictable and just because you piss him off, he may go to war with you, or he may take out one of your top generals. And Trump has that. In foreign policy terms, it's called strategic ambiguity. Foreign leaders don't really know what Trump's going to do. And that is a superpower if you're President Trump. They're going to start calibrating their decision-making to not want to offend or piss off Trump, because Trump has the keys to the car now, and he can make or break a lot of these nations. He can cut them off. He can impose 100% tariffs. He can cut off all of our trade. He can isolate them. He can put sanctions on them. And they know that. So I think that that's one reason you're starting to see a shift already in conversations. Now, will it happen overnight? Probably not. But the fact that you're already seeing these discussions materialize out of the ether days after the election was decided, I don't think that that's a coincidence. I think it's the strategic ambiguity of having a president who they really don't know what he's going to do, and that kind of scares them. And that's a great position. That's a great power to have if you're a president.
Yeah, it certainly is. Wade, brother, Semper Fi, and happy birthday. I appreciate you, man. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.